Today on Animal Outtakes, from the blazing heat to a raid of the fridge, there's a number of ways our pets can get into a health crisis. Find out what to avoid and how you can help in case of an emergency.
I think this is necessary information that everybody should have as a human being, as a dog owner, as anybody that just loves life in general.
Hello and welcome to Animal Outtakes. I'm your host, Marsha Panuce. Our pets are like family, and when they get sick, we want to be able to help. Today, we're learning about some dangers that can be found around the house and how you can provide life-saving help in an emergency. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Dr. Browning, we have a feast.
Yes, we do.
Some of the most common foods found in our refrigerators can mean trouble for our pets if they eat them. Some of the most troublesome include chocolate, ribs, onions, and grapes. Tell us what is really the problem if your pet gets a grape.
Well, grapes and raisins can both be toxic to dogs and cats. Now, some dogs like grapes and they will go for them, and some dogs do not. We don't really know exactly what is toxic in the grape, if it's the skin, if it's the seeds, if it's the fruit inside, and nor do we know exactly how much they have to consume. It seems to be some variability to that. Some dogs can eat a few grapes and have no problems, and other dogs can eat a few grapes and can cause some kidney disease.
So if you're washing grapes, as I do, and
Yep.
try to cleanse them for me, and I drop a grape, and of course I have 3 counter surfers that are just
definitely.
right underneath, what do? How do I get it out of their mouth? But they want to clamp down first.
Yeah, I definitely take it away from my dogs because I do the same thing. And as soon as it hits the ground, I try to grab it. I tell them no, and I take it away from them. If they were to consume a grape, if you were to drop one and they consumed it, definitely call your vet and let them know.
For a single grape, your vet may have you keep an eye out for signs of gastrointestinal distress, a change in water consumption, or loss of appetite. But all that changes when more grapes are eaten.
If they were to consume a large amount of grapes, I would say then call your vet and plan on taking them in.
Any difference between the green grapes and the
No.
red grapes or the black grapes?
No, not at all.
Grapes in general
All
are
considered
all off
toxic.
limits.
Yeah.
And so is this, although
Yes.
it is just the aroma is
Oh,
just
definitely.
absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
So these are beef ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the only culprit, the bone?
Well, it depends. It's not really just the bone or getting the bone. The dogs will actually consume the meat as well as the bone, as you probably well know, having dogs. The meat can cause some dogs to have GI distress. It can cause pancreatitis potentially. Maybe even things that we're cooking our meat with can also have a unwanted effect on our pets that consume it. The bones are a problem because they can fracture teeth, they can choke. Some can splinter and maybe even cause GI irritation, perforation. And some I haven't experienced fortunately, but some can have a GI blockage from consuming bones.
While snacks like grapes and meals like ribs can cause trouble, there are individual ingredients that, if eaten in large amounts, can be toxic. Take garlic and onions, for instance.
But they cause a particular type of anemia. That anemia can then lead to organ damage, especially to the kidneys and the liver.
If that occurs, is that a situation that in time could be reversed, or is that a one-way street to disaster?
With garlic and onions, I would say that if they were to consume a large amount, in my experience, most of them are treatable and they resume back to normal activity. I've never had one succumb or have a life-threatening condition with it.
When you talk about danger, doctor, look at that tray right over there. This is the big one.
Yes.
Chocolate.
So chocolate, whether it's milk chocolate or the baker's chocolate, is considered toxic across the board for dogs and cats. My rule of thumb is 1 ounce of milk chocolate per pound is considered toxic.
Chocolate contains caffeine and other stimulants that act as a heart stimulant, diuretic, and muscle relaxer. The darker and more concentrated the chocolate, the higher the risk in dogs. Symptoms like extreme thirst, panting, shaking, and seizures may take up to 12 hours to present, so it's important to get your dog checked out as soon as possible.
If I get a call and it's, Halloween, and I get a call that a dog ate, opened up a bag of the mixed candy bars, and the owner comes home and finds 20 wrappers, I'm going to assume that he ate all 20 bars. And I'm going to just have them come in, and we're going to induce vomiting, and we're going to monitor that patient very closely, and sometimes we even put them on IV fluids.
While there are many dangerous foods out there, you can still find some safe snacks in your fridge to feed Fido. Instead of grapes, try apple slices. They are a good source of fiber and can help get residue off the teeth. Just be sure to remove the seeds and core before feeding them to your dog. Swap out your beef ribs with cooked chicken or salmon. These can be added to your dog's regular diet as a good source of extra protein. The fish will even enhance your pet's coat. Replace that onion and garlic with baby carrots or pumpkin. Carrots are good for the teeth, low in calories, and high in fiber, while pumpkin can help with digestive issues. And for that sweet treat, try peanut butter. It's a good source of protein and contains heart-healthy fats and other good nutrients.
If you're not finding any kind of a pulse, this is probably the opportunity. You want to have your help coming and make sure that you're notifying somebody of what's going on.
There may come a time when you need to save your pet's life.
All right, so today we're here to learn CPR on a canine, and I'm going to show you the correct methods of applying the study or science of CPR to a canine.
Mandy Hicks is a CPR instructor. She teaches people how to perform this life-saving procedure. She shows us how to do it on a pet.
So once you've assessed that you are safe to proceed, then we want to check for responsiveness. So my dog's name is Casper, okay, and I want to say, hey Casper, what's going on? Hey boy, are you okay? Okay, same as you would with a human. You want to see if they're going to respond to you in any way, shape, or form.
She says if your pet doesn't respond, it's time to check the ABCs of CPR: the airway, breathing, and circulation.
We want to assess the airway, okay, because choking is also another cause that could put an animal into cardiac arrest.
To check for an obstruction, make sure the animal's airway is in line with their spine. Then move the tongue out of the way and look inside the mouth for anything blocking that airway. If there's nothing, move on to breathing.
By looking at their chest, you can see if they have chest rise. Okay. You can also feel in front of their snout to see if any air is going in and expanding their lungs. Okay. Once we assess that there's no breathing going on, then we want to take a look at C, circulation.
Checking for a pulse can be tricky. It's found on their wrist, just behind their pad. You can also find the pulse using their femoral artery, which is inside their leg above the knee.
I always recommend to everybody to sit with your animal on the couch. Whenever you're rubbing their tummy, that's the time to find where their femoral pulses are. That's the time to find where their landmarks are when they have a normal respiration, when they have normal pulses and normal vital signs.
After going through the ABCs and still getting no response, we know we need to start chest compressions. Make sure the animal is on its right side with their left heart side up. Your compression point is going to be where their arm meets their side.
So we want to make sure that we are compressing the heart good enough to circulate the blood here to all of the vital organs, and also keeping the brain perfused, okay, so that we actually are making a difference here. So once you have your hand here On Casper, I'm going to compress 1/3 the chest depth, and I'm going to do 30 compressions. Then you'll want to do 2 breaths, pull the tongue out of the way, wrap your hands around, and then blow in twice. Perfect. And then go right back to your compressions.
Experts suggest you continue the cycle 5 times or for 2 minutes. Then check again for a pulse. See if there's any spontaneous breathing or response. If there's no response, continue compressions.
We recommend that you give it at least 10 to 12 minutes before you assess whether your animal has actually gone or not.
Are these techniques applicable to any animal,
Yes, they are.
no matter how small or how large?
Correct.
What would you say the success rate is on the CPR for the animals as we get going on it?
The success rate actually is not all that great. Okay, so we may be looking at 10% or less, okay, as far as success of CPR done on any type of an animal. But quite honestly, 10% is better than no percent.
Absolutely. Still ahead on Animal Outtakes. So the heat, of course, comes from the pavement
Yes.
right through these paws
Yes.
and then can wipe them out.
It definitely can.
How that long walk could actually be harming your dog. Plus, first responders show us the latest technology when it comes to rescuing your pet.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org.
This is my new best friend, Blake. Blake is a Beagle Cavalier Spaniel mix. He's about 8 months old. He is pure puppy, as you can see. He is a very sweet dog. He's all play, kisses, and needs a little training. But he's a happy dog, and he's the dog that you want around because he will just make you smile with all of his antics. What do you think, Blakey, huh? Huh?
For me, it started with one hit of sardines. Oh, sardines. That's where I learned to bag. It was easy to score free fish. I mean, hey, with this dolphin smile, yeah, it's illegal, but no one cares. I had a monkey on my back, man. I was jonesing for people food, hanging out under boats, dodging props and hooks, and doing dangerous stuff that I'm ashamed to admit. Look, I know that I can kick this if people would just stop feeding me.
Here in Florida and all across the Southeast, we know heat. And when the temperature goes up, so does the danger for our pets, like Pierre. This is Pierre.
This is Pierre. Yes, he's a good boy.
And Pierre is going to tell us about walking in the heat. Should you do it or shouldn't you? What do you think, Dr. Browning?
I think it's a no. Do not do it. You can walk in the morning. You can walk in the late evening when the day is getting a little bit cooler.
Dog owners should definitely avoid the long walks, those measuring a mile or longer during the hottest parts of the day. Part of the problem is the heat, but what many don't realize is just how hot those sidewalks can get.
And even I've seen dogs that have had burnt pads on their paws from being walked on a hot surface. If they are outside and they don't have access to shade, or if they are exercising, whether it be via walking, jogging, or playing ball or anything like that, they need to be allowed time to cool down.
So now we have Pierre out for a walk.
Yes.
And he's doing really great, but then all of a sudden, in the heat, we see him stop, lay down on the ground. Are we watching heat stroke, the beginning of heat stroke? What do we do?
You can be. The safest thing to do at that point is to find some shade for them to lay down in and allow them to rest and cool down. If you have water, please give them access to the water.
Unlike people, dogs don't sweat to cool themselves off. Instead, they pant. They also dispel heat through their ears. Dogs with flat faces like pugs, bulldogs, and Boston Terriers are inefficient panters, so they are more susceptible to heat stroke because they're not great at cooling themselves down. Most dogs will know their limits, but sometimes warning signs can be missed.
The problem that I see is either you have a dog out there that the person is jogging and they're not paying attention to the fact that the dog is starting to slow down behind them, or you have a dog out there that, because there will be an occasional that is just having so much fun that they push themselves a little bit too far. But normally a dog is going to stop, they're going to lay down, they're going to instinctively find some shade, and they're going to rest.
So even though we know that walking is a great exercise, it's not always the safest.
It's not always the safest, but there's safe times of the day.
When they're not sleeping, your dog spends his time on his feet. So keeping those paws healthy is important. Check your dog's paws regularly to make sure that they're clean, with nothing stuck in between their toes. Also, make sure to keep those toenails trimmed. When it's hot out, avoid surfaces like asphalt and sand. Remember, if you don't want to walk on it barefoot, neither does your dog. If your dog gets a cut on their paw, clean it and use an antibiotic ointment and a bandage to treat it. Cuts can be prone to infection, so keep an eye on it and notify your veterinarian if there's swelling and redness. Sometimes our pets wind up in dangerous situations that are out of our control, like a house fire. Luckily, many first responders are equipped with special tools that can help save the lives of our furry friends. We'll show you how when Animal Outtakes returns.
For thousands of years, we've been humans' best friend. You've been through a lot, and we've been right there with you. A dog is part of the family, a confidant, and a friend who always knows how to get into your heart. So what happens to our beloved companions when we can no longer care for them? This is why we've created Dante's Den, an innovative, state-of-the-art facility that will provide care for up to 100 dogs.
Dante's Den is a community for joyful dogs.
Millions of Americans face uncertainty when planning for the future of beloved pets who may well outlive them. Dante's Den is a charitable organization, so in whatever capacity you can, please lend your support so that we may continue this most wonderful work.
Dante and I would like to thank you for watching and for also opening up your hearts to our wonderful community of joyful dogs.
Learn about the many ways you could become involved by visiting dantesden.org. And now it's time for Tales from Dante's Den.
I love German Shepherds and everything, and when I seen him, me and him just connected in a way I've never connected with any other dog at Dante's Den.
At just 11 years old, Austin is one of the youngest volunteers at Dante's Den. He loves spending time with the dogs here. Coda is one of his favorites. Coda was one of the first dogs to come live at Dante's Den.
I knew that his dad was going into the service, and he couldn't take Coda with him, so he bring him to Dante's Den.
This sweet, oversized lap dog was nervous and scared at first, but with some help from his new friend, Coda opened up.
When Coda came to Dante's Den, I didn't feel like he would jump up in the chair and sit with me. The first thing I did when he was in his kennel, I started going up to the door, throwing treats under the door, letting him sniff my hand, and eventually I just went in there. I petted him and I just gave him love and made him feel confident enough that he could be with me. It took about 5 days for him to get up in the chair with me and lay down and be as calm as he is right now.
Now Coda is a model citizen, thanks to Austin's compassion, love, and understanding.
Just when he lays down with me and comes up to me and licks me in the face and everything, that gives me a real good feeling that he loves me. He's just an awesome dog.
Sometimes there are emergencies that go beyond our control. Times when we must call for outside help from the professionals, like during a house fire. Now, how important is it that the sticker appear on your window that I have pets in my house, so that you know to go and rescue them?
It is fairly important. It's that way we know that there might be some viable life inside.
Thankfully, firefighters like Tanya Schultz have a special piece of equipment on their trucks, an oxygen mask built just for pets. Tanya, the O2 oxygen mask for pets. This is rather a new concept, is it not?
Yeah, it's a fairly new concept. In the field, they have been giving resuscitation efforts to animals, but this allows us to have better access and better ease at actually effectively delivering oxygen to the animals.
These specially designed masks fit over an animal's snout, forming a seal, and can deliver oxygen to an animal in distress.
Just like humans, they've been exposed to smoke and a horrible atmosphere that's for our lungs, so we need to give them oxygen to help them come around, just like a human. We have varying sizes of the oxygen mask, and they act actually as O2 delivery as well as a resuscitation device, and you just would put that on the animal's muzzle. It forms a very reliable seal, and you just deliver breaths to the animal. So we just slide the oxygen tubing on the end, and we would attach it to the oxygen, and this would just slide right over the little doggy's mouth like so, and we'd be able to deliver oxygen to the doggy.
There we go, see? Well, of course, Guinness is breathing on his own,
yes,
thank goodness.
He knows.
And he knows. But if that had gone on, how long would you keep that on?
Until the dog or cat or animal shows signs of improvement.
The oxygen masks work on all animals, not just dogs or cats. Really?
A little baby bunny. Yeah.
And you were successful?
Yes, we brought him outside. He was actually contained in his cage, and we located the cage, took the entire cage out, and you can tell he was just, it seemed to be a very exhausting experience. He was laying on his side, so we just scooped him up and gave him a little bit of oxygen. He seemed to be perked up.
Would you say that this is very successful out in the field?
There have been reports that it is very successful.
How does it make you feel that you have all of this wonderful, sophisticated equipment to do your job?
It feels great. It gives us hope that there's help that we can provide for the animals, because they're very important parts of family members' families. So we want to save their little dog or their little cat and give them, hope and provide hope by showing them we can save their animal.
There's more Animal Outtakes after this quick break. Animal Outtakes is produced by Dante's Den Foundation, a nonprofit group dedicated to creating the best life for dogs. If you would like to learn more about Dante's Den, donate, or volunteer, visit our website, dantesden.org. That's it for this episode of Animal Outtakes. We hope you've learned a little something about your pet's health and what you can do in case they ingest something that's bad for them. Join us again next week for another outstanding animal adventure. We'll see you then. Pets are like our family, and when they get sick, we have no nothing.
I knew I hit something.
You hit something.
I hit something.
Learning about some dangers that can be found around the house and how you can provide. You put your thumb in there.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
Yeah. Okay. Take 3. That's it for this episode of Animal Outtakes. We hope you've learned a little something about your thumb.
Anyone who can work an iPad.
Okay, and next week for another outstanding animal adventure.